let's talk about travel tips. I'm traveling right now. I'm in Colorado, back on the grind with tracking my macros after I fell off from, just a little hiatus. And I figured might as well track my macros during the times where you're traveling and you don't have a control over like your protein, your foods, all that stuff. And yesterday I absolutely crushed it. Like being on the plane, landing over here, the time zone difference, easiest thing in the world, right? So what I want to talk about is just travel tips in general, whether it's tracking, whether it's getting steps in, hydration, mindset. So why don't we just break it down into three different categories? Mike, we'll start with you. Tyler, we'll go to you next, even though I know you haven't traveled too much, but still, some of the Heartletics principles that you learned could probably be applicable to this as well. And then I'll finish things up. So why don't we talk about nutrition tips, because that's what matters the most, training tips, and then mindset tips. And there is no right answer. There's no wrong answer. It is just more of, hey, what have you been able to do in terms of traveling and staying physically fit, staying mentally fit, staying, in shape in the midst of being out of your normal routine? Because that's where most people they fall off track. They travel for work, they travel for vacation, they get sucked into, hey, I want to eat like this and not work out because hey, there's no gym or there's no normal routine that I'm normally a part of when I'm at home. And it's easy to start feeding the bad wolf, right? So let's get some good tips, some good value. Mike, why don't you start off, brother? Has helped you, right? In terms of once again, the nutrition, the training, the mindset when you're traveling.
All right. Well, first off, starting with nutrition is, pre-plan. If you know you're going, pre-made protein shakes, protein bars, you know, just as those, did I use everything? I just got back from vacation last week. Did I use everything I took? No, but I had it there ready in case I needed it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna caveat on that, and I'll probably be doing that a bunch as you talk and Tyler talks as well. Because like for us, I didn't have like travel, like any extra like luggage, if that makes sense, like stuff to
Mhm.
pack in protein bars or protein powders. But what's convenient is that hey, I'm staying over here at my uncle's in Colorado. Amazon, right? You literally just ship over a huge thing of protein powder, and that's what I did, and some protein bars, you're good to go. And even if you can't do that, and maybe you can slip it into your baggage, those little travel packs. Is that what you brought, Mike? Those like little travel convenient
Yeah,
packs?
the ghost travel, the samples. I use the ghost samples as like my go-to when I'm traveling because they're
Yeah.
pre-packaged individual serving, so you don't have to worry about what is this powder in this little container kind of thing, right?
Yeah. TSA
Uh,
stopping you, sniffing
yeah,
it.
so it makes it real easy. It's identifiable. You don't have to worry about it, um, and it's convenient because you just slide it in your bag. They're pre-packaged, ready to go.
Yeah.
Mix it
So
up.
so so now let's continue on with the nutrition. Let's just say like your family or wherever you're going out, right? Like they want to go out to eat, right? Maybe you guys aren't like, having the groceries available, whatever the case may be at the household, or maybe it's just like world's best restaurant ever that's in that specific area that you're traveling to. What do you do for that? What are some tips on that? Because I know a
Yeah.
lot of people
So
when they travel, they go out to eat.
we ate out for every meal,
Okay.
right? When we were on vacation. Look at the menu in advance, know what you're getting into, and make informed choices. Like when we went for breakfast, I got egg whites or yogurt, something along those lines. When we went for lunch, I went for the chicken sandwiches or something. The grilled chicken sandwiches, no sauce. Some one of them I didn't even get a bun, right? Or for same, kind of same idea for dinner. If there's chicken on the menu, you can likely ask for them to just grill you up a couple of chicken breasts and throw the vegetable of the day on the side, and you're good to go.
Yeah, you said the best tips in my opinion right there. Is one awareness, be mindful, right? And second is what you said about how ask the waiter, right? Like even if it's not on the menu, right? Let's say you go to a breakfast spot and like there's like eggs benedict, omelets and all this stuff. You can ask for egg whites. Like they're going to have egg whites. They're going to be able they want your money, right? They'll give you the egg
Yeah.
whites. Same thing if you go out to lunch or go out to dinner somewhere and you're getting like a chicken sandwich, it's not that hard to just say, "Hey, can I just have like a few chicken breasts and some vegetables? Like hold the bun that way I don't need to make a sandwich out of it, and you're just being mindful of that. Any other tips about nutrition before we go to training?
Uh, other than give yourself grace and enjoy that you're traveling, right? One
Yeah.
day is not going to do it. 80-20 rule.
Yep, absolutely. Tyler, let's go to you with nutrition, and then I'll finish up, and then Mike will recap you with the training, okay? So
Sounds
Tyler, in
good.
terms of like traveling or just anything in terms of like maybe with you, obviously, with like the snowplow and when it gets really crazy for work, like I'm sure you're looking for some convenient, easy ways to obviously hit your protein target and nutritional goals. Any kind of tips for that?
For me, traveling, I'm usually driving, so I can take a little more baggage with me. So I'll throw a small cooler in and throw a bunch of uh, protein drinks in there, some jerky. Uh, Usually most hotels have a fridge in them anymore, so
Yeah.
I like to have yogurt in the morning. I'll throw a bunch of little single serve yogurts in there and try to at least keep my breakfast squared away where I know where it's at. And then throughout the day, like Mike said, I'll go for some turkey or chicken and to eat some sirloin, something like that, that I expect to be a little leaner. Uh, just try to keep it as normal as possible is what I do.
Yeah. I like what you said also about like with like the breakfast. Cause if you think about it, most people when they go out to eat, it's like lunch or dinner. So if you can actually load up and control what you can control, right? So if you're in control over your breakfast options, and you already have your protein powder, already have your yogurt, hey, put a scoop of protein powder in that yogurt, mix that up, right? Or make double the egg whites, or put a scoop of protein powder into your coffee. Like that's what I've personally been doing. I've been trying to hit anywhere from 50 to like 80 grams of protein just in the morning. So that way I know like, okay, hey, worst case scenario, at least I'm still doing a good job and, protein loading, I should say, because you might not be in control, right? In the evening time or for lunch or anything like that. Tyler, you haven't been on this Heartletics journey, right? For several years. It's been within the course of a year. So my question,
6 months.
perfect, 6 months, right? So my question to you is this, Tyler. Um, do you think it was going to be hard traveling, being a part of this program? Like before, like if you think about it, like before you actually got signed up for Heartletics, most people might say, like, oh man, like I can't get in shape right now because I'm working too much, or I can't, get in shape right now because I have travels and I have I hear that all the time, right? The holidays are coming up. It's too hard to get in shape. I'll wait into the New Year's, right? And that's typically like a self-limiting belief for most people. So I want to just pick your brain a little bit. Did you ever think that way as well before getting signed up? And then if so, how do you feel now being a part of the program for the last 6 months?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been putting off doing stuff for years for all those reasons. And it's not, once you get into the daily habit of doing it, it's not that big of a deal to go somewhere and just pre-plan a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned a keyword, the daily habit, right? So, and everybody's daily habits are different, and that's the whole point of this coaching program is to help somebody just create better habits for themselves, right? For their body types, for their busy schedule, for their lifestyle. What are some of like your daily habits that personally helps you stay on track?
Uh, I guess I try to stick to my nutrition pretty close. I make sure I drink enough water, get my steps when I can. Sometimes with my job, it's kind of hard. A lot of evenings I got to come home and go for a walk or jump on the treadmill for an hour or so to try and get some steps in. Uh, Stay up with my workouts. Just go down my list every night. I like to check boxes, so I don't like seeing them unchecked.
Yeah, yeah, right on. And Tom, I see you on here. I don't know if you want to tune in or not, but we're just going over different tips for traveling. So if you want to tune in, right? Want me to go to you next? Cool. So Tom, we're going around the room, round robin. Mike started off with nutrition, Tyler with nutrition. We'll go to you next with nutrition, and then we'll finish with me, and then we'll go to workouts, right? Like the training, and then we'll go to mindset to kind of finish things up. So Tom, for you, I'm gonna unmute you. What are like in terms of traveling tips, or if let's just say you get really busy at work and you seem like you can't really do everything 110%, right? What are some tips to at least help you out, right? Busy season of life or traveling for nutrition?
When I athletics, I know it was very clear that said like engage with the group and everything. And hey, if you're out at a restaurant and you kind of like don't know what to choose and all that, like take a picture of the menu, send it in. So I actually pretty early on put that to the test, and you know, I thought I would get an answer, but it was like instantaneous after I took a picture and of the menu, and all of a sudden within a minute I got response back say, well, good choice would be this. Okay, well, of course, over time you learn that, and with travel, it's all about planning. You have to plan, and it's amazing though. Like when I have gone to St. Louis for my conventions, how much stuff is really already there. Like even in the buffets, they've got chicken, they've got ham, they've got beef, and again, with your education, being able to put stuff together, and then even the last time I was there, I was really wanting to get a shake, a protein shake, and lo and behold, in the hotel store, there was a protein shake in there. So I just grab it, and so. But the pre-planning really is the secret, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah, Mike said that also. And then my 2 cents, right? It has to do a little bit with what all you guys said, is just focus on awareness. That's the biggest thing, like if you think about it, when most people get signed up for our coaching program, the first thing we tell them to do is what? Track your food, right? Because it brings to them a sense of awareness. They can see how either little or over they are on their calorie goals, or they can also see how little, right, they are when it comes to consuming protein. And it's just pretty much keep it simple. Like I know for a fact I'm going to splurge, right? And it's okay. I have plenty of grace for myself. You're not going to die because you ate 2 dozen donuts or something like that, right? Something wild. You can have fun with it, right? Have flexibility with it. But I always try, regardless, to hit my protein goal. And whether that's like what Mike said, which is like, hey, bringing some little prepackaged, protein powders or snacks with you, or like what Tyler said, bringing a cooler and just load up with it in the mornings, or like what you said, Tom, is just like be mindful. Like, hey, you're at this buffet at the restaurant. Okay, here's chicken. Let's smash the chicken, right? Let's load up on that. Or hey, let's see if they have some protein options maybe at the store. Like that's always going to be the key. So let's go now into training. Okay. For me right now, like I don't have access to a gym, and I'm okay with that because when I was in the hotel and had to do my whole thing with being on TV, there was no gym for me either there. So I got really creative with working out in a hotel room with literally just a chair. So I'm okay with calisthenics and body weight workouts. But Mike, I want to go to you and then Tyler and then Tom, and then I'll finish up with some training tips also. How do you manage, Mike, the training, right? When you're on vacation, let's say it's either for work or if let's just say the family's there and it's go, go, go. Maybe you guys have an itinerary, like, hey, you're trying to do this, or if you're like ever go to Disney, it's like always these things to do, right? So it might be
Right.
kind of hard to get some training in. What is some ways that you like to manage?
Well, first thing is, if you do have time, and you're staying at a hotel, check to see if they've got an on-site gym. Many do nowadays. Even if
Yeah.
it's just an area, like, might not have equipment in it, but they have an area. You got body weight circuits, you got dumbbell circuits. If a lot of times if I'm driving, I take my kettlebell with me.
That's
My
smart.
kettlebell circuits. Um, Other things, maybe you're not going to get your workout in that day, but if you're with the family and you're out and about, you're likely going to get your steps in. So, at minimum, as we always say, the workouts are the icing on the cake. So if you're getting your need in, you're still good for that day, for those couple of days. Couple of days of missed workouts and back on track, not going to kill your progress.
Yep. Yep. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Anything else before we go to Tyler?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. Tyler, what would you say, man? Busy season of life or travels? Like, how do you, I guess, what is it that you like to kind of focus on with the training?
I guess when I've gone, I either throw my kettlebell in or, you know, last time I traveled, I was still doing the boxing workouts. So I threw in a couple little 5-pound dumbbells in my bag, and even if I didn't have my kettlebell, I could still do a kettlebell workout with those dumbbells. It was just a little lighter than usual, but I could still get the workout in. Walking circles around the hotel. Just get creative with whatever you can do. Keep moving.
Yeah, it's rolling with the punches, right? We just talked about the nutrition, and it's the same thing with the training as well. What can you do, right? As you said, be creative with it. Whether you're breeding equipment like what you and Mike both said, or whether it's just getting more steps in. Mike, I think you hit the nail on the head with the hey, the workouts are just the icing on the cake, anyways. So that's real good. Tyler, anything else you want to add before we go to Tom?
No, I just would echo what the others said. And again, my personal experience when I don't travel a lot, but like usually this year I'm not going to do it. But when I go to St. Louis, they had gyms in the hotels. And I remember walking through the first day that I got there, took pictures and video, and again, sent it over, to guys to look at it. And then, got an appropriate workout for where I was, what I was doing, the time, and all that kind of stuff. And they happen to have a lot of equipment, but apart from that, just the steps. I mean, if you're at a convention or wherever, you're going to be walking a lot, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, the steps is the foundation, and that's what I want to talk about, like at the very end, which is like, what are the key foundations? We just pretty much summarized that protein, right? And now with the training, we can summarize again. It's all about the steps, right? The NEAT, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And like the training, don't get me wrong, it's great, right? Like building muscle, right? You need that. That's essential, right? Especially the older you get. But you're all going to go through different seasons of life. Some you're busy at work, some you're busy with travels, whatever the case may be, where you can't be effective as to working out. But what can you always do? Move. And it's the same thing as like the mindfulness that Tom you mentioned about if you're going out to at a restaurant or a buffet, like be mindful as well when it comes to just moving your body. Hey, I noticed I've been way too sedentary. So why don't I stand up and walk around? Hey, I've noticed that, we haven't been really doing anything today. So why don't we just go for a quick little walk, you and the family, whatever the case may be. Now, I always just want to throw my 2 cents. I personally just try to bang out as many push-ups as I can. Like if I don't have access to anything like equipment, I have access to my body weight, right? And like that's one of the God-given tools, right? Of like using my body, right? And so push-ups, right? Certain things like if I can sneak in something else, like a quick little workout in, if there's plenty of space, that's great. But everybody typically has room, even like in a prison cell, right? You got room to do push-ups, right? So it's like I like to use that just because it's a good amplifier for me to just count mentally, right? Like, okay, hey, let's just do a set of 20 push-ups. And then, okay, let's wait a little bit. Let's do another set of 20 push-ups. If you just do that, honestly, throughout the course of the day, you can easily bang out 300, 400, 500 push-ups. And it doesn't actually seem like you're working out because like you're just doing a quick set here and then waiting a little bit and then doing something else and then another quick set here and there. So it adds up over time. But obviously, like I would say the steps is way more important than that for sure. So about mindset, right? Because mindset is going to be the real meat and the potatoes to this. And Tyler, I already asked you this, so Mike, I'm going to swing around and ask you this as well. Um, did you ever experience, Mike, like maybe before your Heartletics journey, like, oh, I can't get in shape because the holidays, or I can't get in shape because it's too hard because of work, or I can't get in shape because I personally feel like a lot of guys they use that, right, as an excuse. They'll point the finger at somebody or something else why they can't do something, and they often forget that they have three, right, pointing back at them. And obviously, today's topic is like, hey, when life does throw you some challenges like travels or anything like that, we're out of your routine. How can you roll with the punches? So, Mike, for you, one, before your Heartletics days, have you ever had that mindset? And now, fast forward to where we are today, what is, I guess, like your biggest mindset tip to either help somebody realize they can still get in shape, even if they're traveling, even if they're in a busy season of life?
I absolutely had that wrong mindset prior to Heartletics, and honestly, I pointed to genetics
Mm,
a lot. Um, all my mom, my uncles, my brother, everyone obesely overweight. Nothing. I was just like, I'm just like them. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm
Yeah.
walking proof that there is something you can do about it.
Yeah, real quick, don't mean to cut you off, but like I hear that all the time too, with genetics. And like if you ever look up any of the stats, like genetics is only about 30%, nothing more than that. Which means like if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, and all that stuff, it means like even if we're taking the max, 30% of that being, hereditary or with genetics, 70% ball's still in your corner, right? There's still something that you can do. And Mike, you got off your medications, correct?
Absolutely.
Right? And like, was it hard? Did you do anything crazy, or was it just like you showing up and just, hey, be more mindful?
Showing up consistent, being consistent, doing something every day.
Yeah. So what, I guess, like, would you say to somebody that maybe is struggling with that mindset, where they feel like they're in a busy season of life where they're traveling? What is some like really good mindset tips or value that you want to share to them just to help them kind of like, I guess, wake up, if that makes
Yeah.
sense?
Uh, I think the simplest thing for me was making some of these habits non-negotiable. Like I'm going to do these things at these bare minimum things on a daily basis.
Yeah.
No questions asked, get it done. And then that again, that builds it as a habit, and now it's effortless.
I want to dig down a little bit deeper. What helped you make a non-negotiable, right? Because like if you think about it, you need to prioritize it. And somebody right now, they might be like how you were, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, borderline diabetic, overweight, but it's not a priority because they've been stuck in a rut, right? Stuck in their own comfort zone for years of bad habits. And obviously, right? That's not an easy transition to break
Not
free
at all.
from. So like what helps you make those non-negotiables? What helped you make it a priority?
Finding that strong why, like that reason to get your ass off the couch and get moving.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was hoping you would say that. That's what it boils down to, is literally that strong rooted why, you know? Tyler, let's go to you next, brother. What would you say is some mindset tips? Obviously, you're going through a lot of the mindset, in terms of Heartletics and these next coaching phases. So, what has kind of helped you when it comes to working on your mindset and developing that attitude where it's like, okay, hey, even though I'm busy with work or busy with travels, I'm still going to roll the punches. I'm still going to find a way to get something done and check those boxes.
Well, like Mike said, I mean, your why is a huge part. I think about it every morning when I get up. Uh, I sit there and look at myself and tell myself I'm doing good. I can keep going. Uh, I don't know. I guess you just gotta keep it in the back of your mind that these are things you want to accomplish for the day. Just take it one day at a time is all you can do. But if you can complete 4 or 5 of those goals a day, you're doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's showing up and you only complete one of those goals, right? Like that's still better than yesterday, right? When we didn't complete anything. So it's that small little goal or that small little win that we can achieve and then build up momentum from there. That way we can use that as leverage for the next day and then the next day and the next day, and like over time, right, your habits will eventually change. I think the biggest thing though is that, hey, if let's say you're down 10 pounds, you're down 20 pounds, you're eating more protein, and then hey, life does throw you a curveball, which newsflash, it always does. Whether that's an injury, whether that's stress, whether that's travels, whether it's a busy season of life, it's about understanding that, hey, we can't be 100% like how we were and how we have been, but we can still roll with the punches. And then we need to give ourselves grace if we can't get all our workouts done or if we miss a nutrition day, because that thing right there, that one word grace, guys struggle with big time, right? Because it's that perfectionism. Hey, I've been crushing it, right? I want to continue doing this. But when life throws them an obstacle or adversity, it's very easy for us to just get almost defeated, if that makes sense. And we have to learn how to just pick things up and just say, okay, let's not judge ourselves from the past when we could do everything right when life was great. What can we do with the challenges or the circumstances that we're being faced with today? Tom, let's go to you, brother. What are some mindset tips that you'd like to add in?
Um, well, not a lot different than what everybody said, but when I first, you know, my reason for joining Heartletics, my cholesterol was to the point where I was going to be borderline diabetic, and of course didn't want to go there. And so I knew that I couldn't do it myself. It just out there, Lone Ranger, that wasn't going to happen. And so I had been looking at other possibilities of doing it. And when I ran across Mark in LinkedIn, and we'd gone back and forth for a bit. And then finally it was like, okay, you got a community, you've got guidance, you've got education, you got support, all that kind of thing. And so I was all in and kind of fanatical at the very beginning of the food and everything. And, sure enough, I body fat came down, weight came down, my cholesterol dropped significantly. So now I was below. I, unfortunately, in current times, I haven't been quite as on point, but, I do need to get back there. And I think basically having the support of others and, just being encouraged by others to, just show up, do something,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, every day, do something. And I think the main thing with the mindset is, yeah, you got to have the positive mindset. You have to have your goals and all that kind of stuff, but you also need the support of others to keep you going, and just be consistent, show up, and you'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You said a lot of good golden nuggets in there, and I appreciate that. And I would just say, maybe to help you out, Tom, like, yes, you are in a busy season of life with work, and you have been for quite some time. But obviously, with you joining on these coaching calls, listening in, tuning in, engaging, like, it helps you because you got to hear what Mike got to say. You got to hear what, Tyler just said. And it's just like the little Scooby snacks to just break those self-limiting beliefs to say, oh, hey, they were able to do it. I can do it too. And it gives you that
Mhm.
sense of like, encouragement and inspired action to take.
Yeah. Like this morning, I've been getting very stiff, and not flexible, and because I haven't really been moving around a lot. So I just said, this has got to stop. So this morning, I started doing some stretching, and it wasn't for a long time, but it helps, and I feel better. And it's like, okay, tomorrow I got to do it again, got to do it again, got to do it again, and get back to having a point of flexibility and doing more of the walking and all that kind of stuff as well, which I'll do. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good, man. That's real good.
and
And Tim, go
but
ahead.
just real quick, you made a point about the protein. I've done the same thing for a long time, that by lunchtime, and that's from pre-planning on my uh, reporting the food and everything. I get my protein either almost done or completely done when I finish lunch.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't that like the biggest, like, it's accomplishment, but also a stress reliever as well? Because now you're like, oh, I can smash whatever I want, carbs, fat,
Well,
doesn't
my
matter. I'm
evenings
good.
are kind of a surprise because my wife, with all of her surgeries and stuff, she's like tired and all that. So she's not like cooking and stuff. So I come home and it's like, I have no idea what we're going to have until I get home. And it could be like not a lot of protein, but then it doesn't matter because I've already gotten there, right? So it's just then calories and fat and carbs and all that kind of stuff.
I appreciate you saying that, obviously, on today's podcast, because if you think about it, right, like a lot of people are kind of in that same boat. Maybe like when they come home from work, same thing with me, right? Like, I don't know if we're cooking, I don't know if we're going out to eat, anything like that. But I always try my best to hit my protein before dinner ever comes. That way, it's just like
One
I'm
thing,
playing.
yeah, one thing that's really helped, and I think Phil mentioned it at Costco, they have these little plastic containers of chicken, and each one is 24 grams. And you can buy 10 of them, and it's like 17. Okay, so that goes in the lunch. So automatically, whatever I have in the lunch, I got 24 grams of protein right there, plus whatever else is in there. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
it's
a
just
huge gain.
Yeah, so small little like habits or small little like cheat codes that you can pick up that just helps you out because it's flexible and you know you can sustain it, right? It works good for your
Yeah.
schedule and lunch.
Yep.
That's good. Um, let me give my 2 cents with the mindset. So with my mindset, it's always been the same, pretty much like since 2015, and it's just changing from I have to I get to. I always think about it like somebody would be dying to trade places to be in my shoes, meaning like they could travel, right? They can work out, they have a body, right? Like they have fun, tons of energy, right? Like some people hey, they don't have that luxury. They can't travel, or they don't have, clothes on their back, or they don't have, even arms or legs or the ability to work out or anything like that. For me personally, that changes everything. It switches to me just having an attitude of gratitude, but it also takes my mindset off of, hey, I have to do this. Cause like I personally hate doing chores, right? Like I like doing dishes and that's it. I hate taking out the trash. I hate doing laundry, hate cleaning the bathroom. Like that's not my jam, right? Not my peanut butter and jelly. So I don't like to say I have to work out because to me that's a mindset of I have to, it's a chore. Instead, I like to switch it as I get to. And that would be like my number one tip for anybody if they want to be successful with their mindset, regardless if they're traveling or not, regardless if it helps them work out or eats better, right? Just be more mindful. Once again, like we're all blessed each and every day with an opportunity to become better, right? To fill up our cups, to be better lights for others that's out there, and to inspire others. And so it's like when you wake up and have that attitude and mindset of, hey, I get to do this, it's an opportunity, you start taking advantage. You start looking for those opportunities differently rather than saying, I have to do this. Because if you have to do something and it becomes a chore to you, it's very easy to push it to the side.